Hello again, everybody. Zack Attack is here with my WWE Raw review for tonight, Monday, September 23rd, 2013. Of course, live from the Allstate Arena in Chicago, Illinois. I thought tonight's Raw, it was a decent, okay Raw tonight. We saw the locker room rebellion continue on, especially during our main event of the evening. We also saw two men who are storyline fired make little cameo appearances tonight. And like I said, man, the locker room's finally rebelling against Triple H and his regime. And I think Triple H is trying to save his own hide by sticking it to the Shield, as we would see in our opening segment, which would be, of course, the setup for tonight's main event. Of course, Raw began with the 10-man involved in the locker room rebellion to help Daniel Bryan avoid a devastating neck breaking of him on the chair for Randy Orton last week following a match with Daniel Bryan. Of course, those 10 men involved in that rebellion was Dolph Ziggler, R-Truth, the Usos, the part-time players, Kofi Kingston, Justin Gabriel, Zack Ryder, and Rob Van Dam. Now, those 10 men were on stage, and Triple H was like, I expected Triple H to punish them. You know, I was like, I said it last week on my review that Triple H's regime, whether it's this regime or the McMahon-Helmsley era, you speak against Triple H and his regime, or you fight against him, you're going to get punished. And I thought he was going to punish him tonight. But is he trying to play fair, or is he trying to save his own hide? I think he knows that the locker room's finally getting up on him and finally rebelling. I think he's trying to save his own hide by doing what he did with the Shield, putting him in a big main event match, 11-on-3 match, and Daniel Bryan to the mix. Especially after Rob Van Dam said, hey, we're going to fight for Daniel Bryan. We did what we did last week. And I think Triple H, like I said, that one was Triple H trying to turn around on himself and trying to put the Shield under the bus. Stephanie McMahon was trying to stir things up in the Daniel Bryan team of those 10 men who would team up with Daniel tonight in that handicap match, 11-on-3. She said, hey, you're going to fight for Daniel Bryan, or you're going to fight for you? Fight for your spot. You're basically going to let Daniel Bryan get the shot over you because you know why you don't have a title shot opportunity, either one of you 10 guys? Why now? It's because you allow Daniel Bryan. They're trying to stir the pot. Like I said, they're trying to make the guys on stage kind of rebel against D-Bryan. Care more about them than about D-Bryan getting this opportunity. Then it could have been them. But one of the three men would get the opportunity to wrestle the WWE Champion in an untitled match this evening. A lot of guys would wrestle twice. Some of our 10 men involved in this match would wrestle twice tonight. Dolph Ziggler, R-Truth, or RVD were the three choices for the match against Randy Orton. We would find out who would win that poll and take on Orton non-title later on in the evening. Now, speaking of matches involving champions, non-title matches, with a match involving the world champion, Alberto Del Rio. Of course, on SmackDown, I don't watch SmackDown, so I didn't know on SmackDown they officially made Rob Van Dam's rematch official against Alberto at Battleground, which was deserved ever since the blatant disqualification of Alberto to save his title when it relinquished the cross-arm breaker after RVD got to the ropes. So Alberto will be taking on this non-title match. Kofi Kingston, a man who I think should get a title shot someday if he gets a new character and etc. etc. So anyway, this opening matchup start off in ring action. Decent matchup. These two guys are kind of high-flying guys, kind of Alberto and Kofi both known for their fast feet, which Kofi had very good use of, doing some big high-flying moves, some nasty kicks to Mr. Del Rio, and taking it to the World Champion. I think Kingston's performance is pretty good in this non-title match. It really looked like he was going to try to win here. But indeed, Del Rio breaking Kofi down and got back in the game following Kofi's early fury. But of course, he focused on one body part, the arm. Trying to weaken the arm to, of course, weaken it enough to put on the cross arm breaker. But despite his best efforts, Kofi came flying back, delivering all of his big moves, going for the SOS out of very nowhere, going up for the boom drop, which connected before trying to set up the big finish, the Trump in Paradise. But indeed, WWE blocked it, went for a big suplex, but as Kofi was kicking out and going for a tilt-a-whirl counter of the cross-arm breaker, that's when Del Rio really hammered the arm against the post, wiggling the arm even further to set up another attempt at the cross-arm breaker, which was too much for Kofi. Tapping out. 1-2, tap out from Kofi. So Kofi, the first man to wrestle twice, who was going to be in the main event, lost to Del Rio by submitting in a decent opener. Pretty decent matchup. Pretty back and forth matchup for these guys. Very good matchup to open up Raw this Monday night evening. Now, on with our next match. Next match, I kind of flubbed words like Michael Cole did. Michael Cole said, Knights of Champion. It's Night of Champions, Michael Cole. I knew he flubbed the words a little. I think there was a little botch during our next match involving the lights. I think the lights went off prematurely with the Wyatt family, Harper and Warren, taking on other guys who are going to be in our main event tonight, wrestling twice. Of course, millions of dollars. Millions of dollars, of course. The PTP, the Prime Time Players. Now, Warren begins, of course, wearing his sheet mask. Now, Chicago crowd was a good crowd tonight. Chicago crowds are always awesome. I think Chicago crowds are always the best crowd. Well, besides New Jersey after Mania, but still, Chicago's been doing this match and another match, doing what everyone else has been doing, chanting shit, random shit, doing a boring match, which basically turned that way when Warren and Harper were basically isolating D Young in their corner and really destroying D Young in the beginning of this matchup, which led to, it was kind of boring first half because they were just clobbering them. They're just really tall guys who can't really wrestle that much. They're brawlers, like Jada King Lawler said. They were just brawling, really punching and kicking D Young, getting double teamed, and they said the lights went out doing that. Purposeful or not, who knows? But like I said, random chants, even chanting Mike Chioda, JBL chants again, doing a break on the WWE app. They like to advertise 10 million times. But as indeed, Young was getting isolated in the corner. He felt like the hot tag in, the Titus O'Neil coming in like a man possessed, delivering double clothesline moves on Harper and making a crowd. Like when he did that, the crowd was going nuts doing that. And I think I'm finally happy the Primetime Players are getting a push, but and the fans are liking it. But this match, well, as Harper was getting demolished by Titus O'Neil, Warren hits the ring until Darren Young took care of him, closing him over the top rope. But as Young took care of Warren, Harper came in with a killer clothesline. Stiff clothesline to Titus, which led to the 1-2-3 victory for the Wyatt family. After that, here comes Bray Wyatt, who was, of course, in his usual position, sitting on his rocking chair while carrying his little lantern. He came in, destroyed Darren Young, delivering the Sister Abigail. Of course, Kiss on had a big move on Darren Young, as it did. Bray would stand tall above a line. Darren Young are yelling his catchphrase, "Follow the buzzards!" Speaking of catchphrases, it's just me or does Stephanie McMahon have a new catchphrase? Well, she would try to use a catchphrase while being involved in a Miz TV segment that she kind of set up. Of course, The Miz. I'm surprised he was even there tonight after getting demolished by Randy Orton last week. Of course, in his hometown of Cleveland, he would get annihilated by Orton getting attacked before their supposed match began. It never even began because Orton just beat the crap out of Miz, ending up with the DDT on the barricade with his parents watching. I think his mom was more physically, involved than his dad was. Like his dad was like stunned and his mom was like, really selling it to a reaction. So reactions were selling it big time. Then, of course, ended with, of course, the chair between Miz's neck and Orton smashing with the knee. And Miz was very frustrated. And he was forced by Stephanie McMahon to put on a Miz TV with, of all people, The Big Show, who, of course, knocked out Dusty Rhodes and saved him for the butt whipping from the Shield after Stephanie once again forced him to knock him out, which will lead to Stephanie's new catchphrase. I think Stephanie's got a new catchphrase. So, Miz comes out saying that he's usually in a happy mood. But today he's not all smiles. He's all about business. He wants to get revenge on Randy Orton, which he wasn't going to get an opportunity tonight. But somewhere down the line, I think Miz will get his hands on Randy Orton. But until then, he's got the Big Show. Miz is like, when Big Show came in, he was like, Big Show, I can understand your frustrations about being forced to do things by Stephanie McMahon helping this whole regime, this witch, you know. The terms like this make me wish it was still TV PG when you can call her a bitch or a slut or a dirty, disgusting, filthy, trash bag hoe. There you go, Jericho. Especially with his former tag team partner, Big Show in the ring with Miz. Of course, these two guys are another former tag team champions. So, Miz is like, hey, Big Show. Everybody else is standing up. You know, the locker room's fighting rebellion. You see people like RVD and Kofi and all these guys standing up for themselves and fighting against this regime. How about you fight back, Show? How about you finally get some balls back in you, man? Be the Big Show we love. Knocking out everybody but the good guys. Knocking out the bad guys. You know? And as Miz was going on a tirade on Big Show, saying that Stephanie and Triple H are purposely breaking the biggest guy. They want to weaken the biggest guy. Because if they think they can control and brainwash the biggest man on the roster, they can break down anybody. That's when he called her a witch, and here comes Stephanie McMahon talking about Miz. And I think she really bumped Miz, saying, Miz, you're a guy who just peaked too soon. Ooh, burn. Then she's like, Miz, you're what we call a utility player. A guy that, well, we don't use you that much, but if you need you for a promotional thing, we'll use you. You know, if you need an autograph signing or radio appearance, we'll use you. You know, it's what's good for business. And even Miz still continued. He even said, take your legal threats up your ass and like trying to be all cocky. Trying to retain that Miz swagger that he lost midway through his one. Like, the Miz swagger's gone. I think 70 almost had it right. But peaking too soon. And then Stephanie, I think, has a new catchphrase, like I said, and it's, Big Show, knock him out. And there was no hesitation this time, because you've been seeing, especially last week, Big Show, the last couple weeks when Stephanie's been forcing Big Show to knock people out, he's been resisting, he's been reluctant. The breaking point was when he was reluctant to knock out Dusty Rhodes, like I said, but this time, when he was asked to knock out Miz, he didn't hesitate. He just went right forward. He just clenched his fist. Bam! I think he's finally kissing ass, you know, because he knows that he's no more rebellion because of this whole money issue that they're abusing on the show. They're saying he's broken all that, so there you go. Big Show with no hesitation knocked out Miz to end this Miz TV. Now on to the man that beat up Miz last week, Randy Orton, not knowing who his opponent was going to be. The poll was up between, of course, three guys. Dolph Ziggler, R-Truth, and RVD. I wanted Ziggler to win, but I knew RVD was going to get the vote because everybody in Chicago was cheering the butts off for him and chanting his name well. And it was Rob Van Dam winning the poll by a landslide. But it's kind of weird to see these two wrestle again. Of course, back in 2007, when RVD left WWE after his initial first one of his last matches was Extreme Rules 2007. I think it was a stretcher match against Randy Orton. Everybody knew he was leaving. I saw some TNA signs that night, and Orton destroyed RVD. He took him out, and that's when RVD got written out from WWE, got released from his contract and everything. And he made 2 periodic appearances on the Wall 50th anniversary, and of course the Royal Rumble in 2009, where I was glad to be a part of it in person at Joe Louis Arena in Detroit. And after that, RVD went to TNA. So it's kind of weird to see these two wrestle again in the first match since RVD's back. You know, see these two wrestle since Randy Orton took him out the first time RVD left WWE when it comes to being written out storyline-wise. When RVD left in 07. So Randy Orton was trying to win back his ego. Like Orton's back, his vicious side has been brought out again by Stephanie. Stephanie said it last week. We want the vicious Orton again. We want the Legend Killer. We want the sinister Randy Orton. Where we saw that in the last couple of weeks, especially with whatever with Miz, and now he was trying to destroy anybody and everybody in this path to really send a message to Daniel Bryan. But DWD was on the advantage. He had the early fury in the beginning with his big nasty kicks, his high-flying style. Isolating Orton, going for the big... He did run up, going up for the Rolling Thunder. He did get to nail that. Tried some monkey flips. He even tried at least twice for the 5-star Frog Splash. One time he did change his process in midair as Orton got backed up, and he went up for like a big little backwards splash from the top rope, kind of a cool little splash there from the top. And Orton just nailed Orton with the big kicks again. But then Orton went for his big moves, the big running power slam, the going for the big DDT on the wing ropes, middle of the ropes. And like I said, he was trying to, RVD was trying to do the 5-star Frog Splash numerous times. RKO attempts were being attempted by Randy Orton, which RVD counted every time with a roll-up. And then, after the second attempt at the 5-star was thwarted by Orton, I thought it was going to go for like an RKO in midair, but Orton just basically beat up RVD. He took him out to the outside, beat him on the outside, wheeling him against the ring post, exposing the barricade with the fans, and nailing him spine first to the barricade, which led to the double countout. And Orton just basically continued destroying RVD. I thought it was going to RKO him on the table. That would have been sick. But Andy Orton just nailed RVD, just kept on the attack, just fitting on him, and just beating him up, leading up to the Hangman's DDT off the top rope. And it was like you saw, like, this is RVD. Sorry, it's a bad initial. Like, this is Randy. I'm Randy Orton. This is RVD on the top rope. And as they were supposed to drop him, like, you saw Orton was like, ha ha, dropped him. It's kind of like a sinister laugh, because like I said, the sinister Orton is back. The evil Orton, the Legend Killer's back. The Viper, the Apex Predator, whatever nickname they give him this week. So there you go, the sinister Orton really taking care of RVD and really destroying him, making his status for the main event kind of questionable for a while sending a big matches at the same time to Daniel Bryan for their match at Battleground. But if you would see, RVD did indeed came up and still wrestled in the main event, as we would see. So then we had a little backstage altercation with AJ and Stephanie. And AJ got a big pop from Chicago. And AJ wasn't happy about the match he was being put in, his tag match with the Divas, because everybody's been turning on him because of a big mouth. The female CM Punk. Instead, he's like, you better wrestle this match tonight, honey, or you may not be Divas champion any longer. So after that little backstage squabble with Stephanie and AJ, another man who got a little bit of a big pop, as indeed, we would see Fandango, Scaramouche, Chicago, doing the Fandango. A lot of people do. I knew that the fans were popping for everybody. I was like, they're gonna pop for Fandango. They did, but they popped even better for Santino Morella, Fandango's opponent. Both men were dancing early because Fandango trying for his ball dancing moves, and then Santino trying to do his white boy moves. Typical white boy moves. Because white boys have no rhythm. Most don't. I'm like, I got some rhythm. I'll stop embarrassing myself now. Anyway, of course, Fandango was going for his little big moves. Got distracted a little bit when the fans started chanting, Summer Way. I've been chanting Summer Way a lot lately. I think Summer Way's getting more of the attention. What is she, the new Sable? I call her the new Sable because Sable, when she was first in the WWE, she was, of course, managing Johnny B. Bad, a.k.a. Mark Merrill. in like midway when Mark Mayer was a heel, like 97 when he turned heel. Everyone was cheering Sable. Like everyone was like, boo, Mark Mayer, yay, Sable. So who knows? Maybe we could see a Summer Rae pull a Sable, like become a star in her own right instead of being in the shadows of Fandango. That's if Summer Rae can wrestle. Well, Sable couldn't wrestle much, but hey, Sable was hot. The Playboy is the proof. Would WWE allow the Divas to be on Playboy before they went TVPG on us? Anyway, back to the match today in Fandango. It's a, of course, Fandango was trying to with some offense of his own, but indeed, Santino got back in the game, going for his typical moves, the hip tosses before the big drop, before trying to set up the Copa until Summer Rae distracted him, enabling Fandango to take advantage of the distraction, getting Santino on the ground for the Copa, setting up his big leg drop from the air finish in a 1-2-3 victory for Fandango over Santino. Of course, came back a few weeks ago. So there you go. Fandango gets another victory over another person who's a kind of a funny guy. Now, before we go to our next segment, I need to mention that finally we found out when the new tag team, Primo and Epico, Los Matadors, are making a debut. Yes, if you haven't noticed, because I see Primo's beard in the mask, that this Los Matadors is a repackaged Primo and Epico. Like, I thought they were like really new guys, but they're basically Primo and Epico getting a new gimmick. Hey, they did that gimmick to Tito Santana, El Matador, Tito Santana 20 years ago. Makes sense to make a Matador gimmick for Primo and Epico. Well, they've been seeing these vignettes for weeks, and now finally we get to see these Los Matadors in action next week on Raw. So, they've been hyping these guys. Maybe not the same amount of hype they hyped up the Wyatt family, but I think the Los Matadors are getting kind of hyped. And David was trending on Twitter. So, we're going to see them debut next week. Meanwhile, we have our next segment involving CM Punk, who was going to finally make his return tonight after being out for a week after his embarrassing loss to Paul Heyman, thanks to a little help from Ryback in that 2-on-1 handicap match at Night of Champions, which led to, of course, another Battleground match being made. Ryback against CM Punk was made official tonight. So CM Punk would come out in a Blackhawks jersey, of course, Chicago, and I live in Michigan, so CM Punk's statement's going to hurt the state hard. When he was talking about Chicago is a city that never goes down without a fight. We may be down, we may lose once in a while, but we get back up. Chicago was losing 3-1 to the Red Wings in the Western Conference Finals. Well, now Red Wings are in the East, so it was the last season of the Western Conference. And what does Chicago do? They tie it up and end up winning the Stanley Cup. In our words, Detroit choked. Anyway, after they blew a series lead. Anyway, so Punk was talking about, I got back, I may lose a fight or two, but losing to Paul Heyman was tough, and I've been in a bad mood, but you guys cheering made me in a happy mood for no apparent reason, but still, I want to get my hands on Heyman. I don't care, I want to fight anybody and everybody. I want to fight Ryback, I want to fight Axel, just to get my hands on Heyman again. And then that signaled the Wallace. Cuckoo Cuckoo. He even did his own singing, like his own New York parody. That was kind of weird. Would make sense because he's from New York, so it made sense for him to do a Fancinata parody. Don't spreading the news. King of the hill, best in the world. I sing better than Paul Heyman. Just a tiny bit, but anyway. So Heyman came out blabbing once again that he paid Punk and blah, 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 blah. That he's the second best. That Heyman's the best now since he beat Punk. Thanks to, of course, Ryback, Goldberg, blah, 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 blah. So then Heyman made his little statements, and then he tried to leave. And I kind of had a suspicion he was faking his scooter being out of mode. I kind of knew he was faking it. So he kind of set up. Punk was trying to attempt to beat him up with his scooter not working. You see that sinister smile, and Paul Heyman's scooter wasn't working. And I kind of saw this coming from a mile away. I knew that Punk was going to try to get his hands on Heyman and then get double teamed by Goldust. Ryback. Bully. Needs to be fired. Ryback. And Curtis Axel saw that a mile away. And that's exactly what happened. Punk tried to go for Heyman and that double team by Axel and Ryback. And Punk did try to fight back. But when he fought one guy, the other came back. Like every time Punk would try to take down Axel, Ryback would come back and attack him. Or every time Punk would take down Ryback for a little bit, Axel would come back. And it came down to Punk and Ryback eventually taking Axel finally out of the picture with a nasty kick from midair and doing a big splash on top of Axel, leading up to the kick until Ryback got in control and started beating up Punk, nailing him through a box before gorilla pressing him through a table. He almost kind of missed the landing. He got the side of the table. And then Heyman jumped off his little scooter, revealing he's been faking his injuries the whole time, making up the fact that he's been on painkillers ever since you beat me up, Punk. My prodigal son stood on top of a helpless Punk. That means for the second week in a row, we see a hometown guy get beat up. We saw Miz get beat up by Orton. And this week we saw Punk get beat up by Axel and Ryback in his hometown. Of course, Cleveland is Miz's hometown. He got beat up in, and Punk got beat up in Chicago. So there you go. And Punk was avoiding medical. He basically walked out on his own will as the Divas match was about to get underway. A 10 Divas tag. Michael Cole said it was an 8 Divas tag. It's a 10 Divas tag, bonehead. Man, what a lot of boxes he made. Knights of Champion. 8 Diva tags. A 10 Diva tag, you son of a bitch. You said stupid. Speaking of that, Punk said goddamn, and they bleeped goddamn. Yet, I think he said son of a bitch in his promo, and they let that go. And ass, too. Typical WWE logic. Anyway, now onto the Divas tag. 10 Divas tag, Michael Cole. It was, of course, the Funkadactyls teaming up with Natalya and the Bellatrix. Of course, Team Total Divas against Team AJ. Of course, AJ teaming up with Oksana, Alicia Fox, Layla, and was Tamina on the team? Yes, she was. Yeah, those 5. Once again, typical Divas match, stupid Divas match, kind of a clusterfuck, and, AJ got beat up by the Bellas and got pinned within minutes, which the fans didn't like because the fans popped for AJ, and you saw AJ getting big pops, so I think Chicago likes crazy chicks. Well, it makes sense! Since, of course, she did this whole storyline with CM Punk, so it makes sense that Chicago would like her. Because, like I said, they're dig crazy chicks. And she's a crazy bitch, but she fucks so good I'm on top of it when I dream. Doing her all night. Smack herself down the back and put me one on. Sorry I'm singing a lot tonight, but I had to. I had to mention Crazy Bitch by Punk Chan. I think I might have mentioned that song before, but hey, it never gets old. Like this Duck Dynasty show never gets old. Anyway, after AJ lost that silly Divas match, on to our next promo. Daniel Bryan coming out as we prepare for a main event. So Daniel Bryan came out saying, Randy Orton, I'm ready for this match at the pay-per-view battleground for the title. Because I'm ready. Ready for the match. I'm going to beat you up, Orton, and become the champ again. And it'll be one word ringing in your head after you lose. And I knew exactly, and the fans knew it too. Yes! 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 So after D-Bryan's promo, here comes the Shield, getting ready for the match. Until 2 hooded guys attacked them from behind. Cody Rhodes and Goldust. Yep, 2 guys who were storyline fired came back and attacked the Shield and got dragged out by security. I kind of knew Cody was going to be coming back in some way. I bet you they're going to be rehired. I think they win up Cody, storyline firing him just because he's getting married. So now Cody's had his honeymoon. The honeymoon period's over. Now Cody wants to come back to wrestle, which is why he made an appearance with Goldust tonight. It will lead to some way of getting him rehired again. This whole storyline's getting insane with these 2. Now, on to the main event, which is the 11-on-2, 11-on-3 tag. Kind of make a Michael Cole mistake. Instead of calling it a 10 Divas tag, he called it an 8 Divas tag. I called it 11 on 2 when it should be 11 on 3. Anyway, so of course, it was the Shield. All three against the team of the Usos. Primetime players, R-Truth, Justin Gabriel, Zack Ryder in the main event. Unbelievable. Dolph Ziggler, Kofi Kingston, Daniel Bryan, and Rob Van Dam, who made it. Now, it's kind of weird to see Zack Ryder in the main event again. Even for a few shiny moments. The reason why it's so weird to see Zack Ryder in the main event again, the last time Zack Ryder was in a main event was the Raw after TLC. And guess who he teamed up with that night in that main event of Raw in 2011? Daniel Bryan, when he was the World Champion. And when Zack Ryder was the US Champion. And when CM Punk was the WWE Champion. I think it was against Del Rio, Dolph Ziggler, and I forgot the third partner in that 6-man tag. And that was the last time Zack Ryder was in the main event. So now I go pull that once again Zack's in the main event, albeit an 11-man tag match. But he's teaming up again with Daniel Bryan. Weird, ain't it? And see the directions that both these guys have faced in the last 2 years since the main event. D.E.Y. has gone to higher success with his teaming up with Kane and becoming WWE Champion. And D.Y. has gone over the top of Zack Ryder's been a jobber to the stalls now. Which continued. But we would get the first elimination early. RVD still fighting off the injuries that he sustained from Randy Orton earlier in the evening. Got the first elimination by the Shield basically targeting the injuries with Dean Ambrose wailing RVD against the wing post, focusing on those injured ribs and the arm, getting him out pretty early. But then indeed Kofi Kingston, who came back after his attack from Del Rio earlier in the evening, he was bandaged up too. He came in the ring trying to fight back, but of course the Shield, despite the numbers being stacked against them, they always find a way, that Shield, to get advantage back in their game. So of course using a sly, sneaky ways to isolate the men in the corner and start eliminating people left and right. As indeed Ambrose delivered a big move to Kofi, which eliminated Kofi pretty quickly. Then Titus got tagged in, and so did Roman Reigns. The big man against big man battle was short but sweet, as Titus would get isolated in the corner by Seth Rollins, until a big spear came in by Mr. Reigns, speared held at Titus, eliminating Titus. Then Justin Gabriel got in, trying to nail some moves on Reigns until he got speared out of the match. Then Zack Ryder got in the match. Woo, went for the broski kick, but then he was taken out by a spear. Roman Reigns was a spearing machine, eliminating Zack, Titus, and Justin, and Kofi and RVD were gone, so it was now 6 on 3. Then Daniel Bryan came in, coming in like a goodness gracious, great balls of fire coming in with big momentum, taking it to Roman Reigns, delivering on the big, fast-paced yes move. Super Bryan was indeed in full effect tonight, really getting his team back in the winning waves with some big moves of flying forearm, which led to D-Bryan setting up Jimmy Uso to get the tag in, setting up a kick before he tagged in his brother, Jay, to go up the top with a big splash, eliminating Roman Reigns. So the big man, the muscle, was out and really took Roman Reigns' partners, Ambrose and Rollins, by surprise. You saw Rollins' face. He was like, oh shit, we're screwed, our muscle man's gone. And unfortunate bad luck would kind of continue. Not before a little fake false alarm glimmer of hope came, as indeed Seth Rollins came with a big knee move, taking out Daniel Young after he got tagged in from D-Bryan, which came down to 5 on 2. And then Dolph Ziggler got the hot tag in, delivering some big nasty moves on Dean Ambrose, which they will face off for the U.S. Championship on SmackDown. I thought that match would be on the Battleground, but a SmackDown match could end screwy. They could set up a Battleground match. But anyway, Dolph Ziggler came in with a House of Fire too, ending with the zigzag, eliminating Dean Ambrose. Which means we have 5-on-1. Seth Rollins against all these guys. But eventually became 4-on-1. With Rollins nailing his big move to eliminate Truth. But after that, D-Boy, being the big leader, had all the ring ropes surrounded with everybody. With the Usos, D-Boy, and of course Dolph Ziggler running all 4 ring ropes, basically surrounding Rollins, and pulled the trick out of the Shield's playbook. Quadruple teaming on Rollins. And I could have knew that some way, shape, or form Ambrose and Reigns would try to get back in the match, which they kind of did. But Ambrose got back in, or tried to get involved, got kicked for his good helping by Ziggler. Then Reigns came in and got big splashed by the Usos, taking him down by flying over the top rope. But then Rollins, still like a man, headbutts D-Boy and trying to take out D-Boy until D-Boy came flying back, finally on the top rope, leading to Daniel Bryan, taking down Dean's partner Rollins, setting up the big flying headbutt, which was a connector. And then D-Boy got back up, setting up the big flying knee to the head, and the 1, 2, 3 victory for Bryan. Getting the victory for his team, eliminating Seth Rollins. I thought D-Boy's celebration was going to get cut short again by another attack by Orton. But we ended Raw with D-Boy celebrating his victory in this 11-on-3 handicap match, getting the final elimination on Seth Rollins. Will Bryan be celebrating again for the WWE Championship at Battleground? The crowd was going nuts again. I think the guys that got the biggest pops tonight, definitely Darren Young. I always called Darren Bryan Darren Young by accident, but Daniel Bryan got a big pop. Of course, Punk being from Chicago got a big pop, and even AJ, like I said, got a big pop. So I think they got the biggest pops tonight for the Chicago crowd. So there you go. D-Boy stands tall and continues the momentum towards him becoming the face of the WWE to win back the vacated WWE Championship. That is it for my Raw review for tonight. I will see you all later with that in mind. You have all been attacked by the review from Zach. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. Yeah.